What's going on? It's your Uncle Steve here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Another week closer to the regular season. Another rumor to set Atlanta Falcons fans crazy. What's going on, y'all? Let's discuss it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your Uncle Steve here in Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Hope everyone is doing all right. It is Friday, as usual in July. It's muggy, it's nasty, it's hot. You don't have to go outside. Don't. Some of us do. It is what it is. A lot of us have to go to work like your aunt does, and just stay hydrated if you stay out there. It is absolutely positively nasty out there. I think I saw there's supposed to be a chance of thunderstorms, so maybe some things will cool some of the stuff off today. But I'm here. You're here. It's the Friday brunch. You always I always have questions, and I never think about it when people say, "Steve, you doing the Friday brunch? What are you eating?" Well, today I had to make a little bit of substitution. I was kind of moving a little quickly today, so I stopped by and got some nuggets from Burger King, which is usually not my choice to do, but I did that today. Got some nuggets. Been trying to get on this water kick, man. So got my Fiji water. Don't get me wrong, my Starbucks is still in play, but today I said, let me go ahead and start hydrating early before I go tackle the outside elements. I hope everyone is doing fine. If you don't mind, please like the video if you get a chance to. For those of you who are coming in that haven't seen the content before, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. Either way, we appreciate it. Just make sure you push the like button if you are a fan of what we're doing here on the platform. So I'm in a couple of places today, and usually I usually stay kind of even keel when it comes to certain things and certain topics. I've always said before, I can be a numbers guy. I can be a stat guy. I can be somebody who can kind of break down how the game is supposed to go and all the formations and things like that. But truly, when I started this podcast, my thought was to come at this from the angle of an Atlanta Falcon fan. And Falcon fans, we have all different types of ways of being a fan. And I've gone through this several times before. Sometimes I think today's fan or fandom in the 2020s is a lot different than probably what the fandom was in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Because let's face it, social media, which I'm on now, has done quite a bit to showcase what everyone is saying, what our thought processes are when it comes to our Falcons. I have always been one of those that, especially when it comes to the Falcons, and kind of with the Braves and the Hawks as well, I love the individual effort of the players. I really do. There was no bigger person rooting for Dominique to score when he was in his heyday. Even John Drew, I go back that far. When John Drew came here, Dan Roundfield, Eddie Johnson, when those guys were here in town, I was one of those that I loved them as individual players. But what I really loved was when the Hawks as a team were winning. Same thing for the Braves. As much as we went through the Chris Chambliss, Claudell Washington, Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, Phil Niekro era, Rick Camp and those folks. Uh, when we finally did it as a team and got to the playoffs, it was something different. It was different because it was a team victory. It was team success. So I harken back to my early Falcon days, and I think, which probably laid the groundwork of how I am now. In 1978, we were coming off of 1977, where the Atlanta Falcons defense, of course, we all know the story, fewest points in a 14-game season, set the record. Defense was great. However, we ended up 7-7 and did not make the playoffs. So the next year, when the Falcons, and ironically, that was the year they went 16 games in 1978. The next year, we had success. It was basically the same team you had from 1977, sans a player or two. But that team success had this city in a frenzy back in 1978, because before that, prior to that, the Atlanta Falcons didn't know what the playoffs were. They had one winning season, I think, in 73. And that was before I was thinking about the Falcons. I was born, but not obviously knowing what was going on. But this was the first time, 9-7 in 1978. I think we were so happy to get there as a team that I think you just rooted for everybody. You supported everyone. And keep that in mind, support. You supported everyone. Even though folks were good, some folks were mediocre, some folks were downright bad. But you know what? They wore the logo, they wear the brand. You go for them. Same thing in 1980. Kind of a team effort. And don't get me wrong, one of my personal favorite players, William Andrews, was on that team in 1980. Lynn Kane, Alfred Jenkins, Alfred Jackson, Wallace Francis, Steve Balkowski. I mean, the offensive line, which was awesome, headed up by Jeff Van Note, Mike Ken. Junior Miller was doing this thing. So it was a combination of players. There weren't any stars, and we didn't elevate folks more. Now, the level of quarterback play, it was important. Whoever was the guy, and at that time it was Bartkowski, he was the guy. So you did have to kind of hope that he would have better games than not. But that team was actually kind of run by that running game. And I think that's kind of where I've been. I've just never gotten too high or too low. I've kind of taken that even keel since when it comes to let's see what happens. There aren't anybody, and I dare anybody to sit here and tell me in 2015, you thought we would make a Super Bowl run. Same thing for 1997, coming off of that year. So sometimes we have to sit and wait to see what happens before we start going over the ledge about, you gotta get your pom-poms and go crazy for each individual player because that's the only way to prove that you're a fan. I don't think that's right. So that's one of the questions I asked, and one of the two questions I have today. It's like, I think if I start looking at the people, at least who interact with me, and probably more people who are in the walk that I see, those Falcon fans who have been here for the long haul. I always say, I think those are the ones that you say, they're Falcon fans. Contrary to some of you who were just born 10 years ago or just came into football 10 years ago, no, you're not going to challenge how much I support these Falcons. That's through the roof. You know nothing about that. So I don't even probably listen to you when you say that. But I just think some of our veteran Falcon fans kind of get it. And so when players come on, like this year, I use this year as an example. When you have the Bijan Robinsons, when you have a second year Desmond Ritter, when you have even Tyler Algier after what he did last year, we have unfortunately, because we've been here so long, have been conditioned, whether it's good or bad on your part, that's up to you to decide. We've been conditioned to say, let's hold up and see what happens. Let's hold up. This is not telling us to be less of a fan. This is not telling us that we shouldn't support our team. That's a foolish statement, and it's foolish for anybody to think that any of us who has some questions about our prospects in 2023, if you question anything about the Falcons, then you're not really a true fan, because you're supposed to believe that all 53 players are all pros and should run through the wall and be the best players in the NFL. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm not here to tell the super fan, and the super fan is the one that's rah, Falcons gonna go 17-0 and perfect. We shouldn't lose a game. We're not gonna do anything. Ritter's gonna be the next Tom Brady. Kyle Pitts is gonna be the next Kelsey. Bijan Robinson is gonna be the best running back in the history of the world. All of that. I'm not trying to temper that. I never want to temper that. But I also have to sit back and take a deep breath. Last year, people have amnesia. Last year, when Marcus Mariota was on the field, I said the first day he was named starting quarterback, that's going to be my guy. I'm not crazy about it, but he's going to be the guy. And I continue to support him. And I don't sit up in the fans and boo my team. I don't do that. But I do question the ability of some of the players sometimes. And I don't think that's a bad thing. The narrative that if you question or if you criticize, and I'm not talking about, and let me make it clear, I'm not talking about those extreme fans. I hate this person. I hate, which again, the word hate and to now is such a horror, it's such a trigger word, and not even in just the sense that hate is bad, but just in sports, you hated on somebody. You hating on him because he hasn't done anything yet. What makes you hate him? No. I turn it around. He hasn't done anything to make me hate him yet. He hasn't made anything to make me say he's the next best thing. And that's for anybody. That's Ritter, that's Bijan, a rookie defensive player, anyone. So that was my second part of the question. Why do seasoned Falcon fans, why most seasoned Falcon fans don't drink the Kool-Aid when it comes to overhyping individual players? And I think that's real. I think you'll see the folks who've been around for a while say, yeah, I've seen this before. I've seen the hype of Chris Miller. I've seen the hype of Andre Bruce. I've seen the hype of Ray Edwards coming in here as a free agent. I've seen the hype of really Steve Balkowski, who was supposed to be bigger than he was. That was a number 1 overall pick. Mike Vick, we all know what happened to him, but did he truly fulfill his potential? Not completely. So when it's fair for us as fans to either have questions, to have our own opinions, critiques, if we want, but that doesn't stop my fandom. I don't care if you have more jerseys than me. I don't care if you have more merchandise than me, or what the kids say, merch. I don't care if you sit here and say Falcons 24/7. That doesn't mean that you're the greatest fan in the world. It means you are the true meaning of the word fanatic, which is fine. but just be careful. Labels are dangerous, y'all. Labels are very dangerous. We gotta stop with the labeling. That's crazy. And then the second part, which because it's not that serious, I don't want to even. Uh, of course, we saw the little when I posted about it yesterday. The little rumor from the guy. I have no idea who he is, and I'm sorry. I heard some people trying to say, "Oh, well, he does come up with a couple of things every now and then." Yeah, but you know who the guys are. You know who the guys are when the rumors come out. You know the names, if it's legit or not. So the little thing came out. Well, Atlanta was trying to trade for Trey Lance. Okay. Let's just say hypothetically that had any ounce of truth to it. I want people to think about what that would mean, unless the Falcons see something that they wouldn't tell us. So the Falcons would wait until less than 2 weeks before training camp to bring in a guy who allegedly, and from scouts, has supposed to have more talent than Desmond Ridder and maybe even Taylor Heineke. They would bring him from San Francisco. And of course, in a trade, unless there's something worked out with the bonus money, you absorb that salary. So as some of us here in the Falcons kingdom are upset, are talking about trading Cordero Patterson for his $5 million contract, you're going to take on some of this money from a Trey Lance. And you're paying him a substantial amount. So you would have Desmond Ridder, Trey Lance, and Taylor Heineke on the same team and taking up more salary. That wouldn't even make sense. So I just want everybody to take a step back and calm down when you see that. I know Twitter is great, and it could be the devil as well, because we are quick to believe everything we read. So I'm just sitting here, just want to discuss why these trade rumors just are triggers for folks. And why we go over the moon when they come out, especially from sources that are not really sources. You can always, to me, tell by the avatars if somebody is legit, because judging by what I saw, it's like, yeah, y'all really gonna put your faith in that person? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about silly rumors, and then also why most seasoned Falcon fans don't drink the Kool-Aid when it comes to overhyping individual players over the team. Let's get to the chat. I know I talked quite a bit on that, but let's get to the crux of it all. As usual, John Brooks is here. Say, hey, Uncle Steve, I don't think this rumor lives in people's head. This team wants to win. I want to win. That doesn't mean this rumor lives rent-free in my head. It means I want to win. Well, here's the problem. It's not even so much the living in your head part. It's the part of, okay, I'll do a flashback to February and March. Anybody who watched me know that I was looking forward to possibly trying to acquire Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens, which again, that's gone, it's past, but I'm not going to sit here and try to backtrack and say, no, I was trying to get a much more talented person in here to come to the team. Now, the difference in that particular situation about rumors and things like that, well, it was public that Lamar Jackson was not happy. It was public that you could have made a deal to get him. So when I look at situations and things like that, we actually had an opportunity to try to get him. So I put that in a little bit of a different category. This Trey Lance thing, as much as, and so I'm fast forwarding back to you, John, you know that I'm always looking to upgrade that very important position. And again, Uncle Steve's quote, the most important position in North American sports. I feel like this kind of just doesn't sound right. You're going to pick up a quarterback 2 weeks before training camp after paying Taylor Heineke all this money and basically slapping Desmond Ridder on every poster, every interview, everything, saying that he's going to be the guy. It just doesn't make sense. And you know, like I do, I want to win. Look, you have your I want to win. I always say when somebody says that, nah, I want it a little bit more than you do. So you're there with me. I understand the part about improving the team, but this particular rumor, the timing of it is just kind of weird, don't you think? John also says, and if Trey Lance is better than Ridder, that means he's a better fit for the job. So just like an electrician can't do the job right, maybe somebody that does his job better than him can be a better. And it says to keep it a buck with your Uncle Steve. I want to win. I've been through the ups and downs with this team. I've seen my shares of ups and downs of heartbreak. Uncle Steve, I'm almost 40. I want to win now. And I don't deny any of that, from not even deny, but I believe every single thing you're saying. I understand. What I'm saying is that particular rumor at this time doesn't make sense. Now I'll say this, John. If this happened in March, if this happened prior to the draft, okay, I'd be down. But think about the timeline. You've gone through free agency, you went through the draft, you went through the rookie camp, you went through the OTAs, and you're 10 days from reporting to training camp. And after the guys you even had Grady on less than 48 hours ago on NFL Network saying, yeah, Desmond Ridder. Yeah. Then you bring in a former number one pick who, granted, had injury, but you're going to bring a number one pick in there? Do you think that's going to settle a team? I think that's the part, to me, more the silly part. It's not about the talent in that particular situation. It's about that would disrupt everything that you built from March to now. So that's why, to me, that doesn't quite add up. David Stark in the house. What's going on, Dave? Good to see you. Watching us on Atlanta Bird Gang. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Love my family on Facebook. In the biggest Atlanta Falcon group on Facebook. Appreciate you. Lyrics Mom in the house. Kiki is there. What's going on, Uncle Steve? Hope you're enjoying your day. I'm at work, bored behind my desk. Yeah, see, now you know how I am, Kiki, because sometimes I'm watching y'all on my phone when I'm at work, and I have y'all in my ear sometimes when y'all come on. I saw you and Jack on the other night and everything. So y'all give me something to listen to when I'm working as well. So hope everything's going well with you. And don't work too hard. Facebook user says, what's up, Unc? How you doing? Brother James is in the house. What's going on, cousin? How you feeling, brother? Good to see you. Winston is in the house. And I'll tell you what, man. Winston and John Harris did a great job yesterday on Atlanta Bird Gang. I'm assuming the great puppet master, Tidy Jones, gave them the opportunity to have that show last night. And granted, I know John Harris is probably still asleep from staying up so late, but he and Winston did a great job. So if y'all get a chance to, y'all look for that John Harris, Winston Thornton combination on the Atlanta Bird Gang channel on YouTube. Armani, my nephew, what's going on? Say, where the pancakes, man? Look, pancakes, it's too late for pancakes, man. By the brunch time, I'm probably more into biscuits and croissants. And stuff like that. I'm trying to tell you. Facebook user says that water ain't no joke. I've been doing a gallon a day for 3 weeks now. Okay, so a little bit of disclosure. In my job, I have to work outside. So as y'all see me doing now, I try to load up, man, because I'm serious. And just because you're a bigger person doesn't mean you have more to sweat before you start feeling dehydrated. I'm trying to tell you that stuff right there, it will bother you. So y'all make sure you always hydrate yourself, especially if you're outside. Yes, always. RJ ATL for life. What is going on? How you doing, sir? Good to have you in the house. Lisa Shepherd is here. Happy Falcons Friday to you too, ma'am. 95 North Falcons Talk Show, aka Berto, is in the house. Happy Friday to my Starbucks friend. Tune in. Have a great show. And see, I'm switching up on you. I just told them right before you got here, I'm going Fuji water this morning because Fiji water. I'm just giving it new nicknames. But I'm as y'all see me sipping, I'm literally trying to get myself ready for this afternoon. But a happy Friday to you, sir. Y'all make sure y'all check out my brother Berto and Smitty Sports Machine. They always putting out some great content in there. Speaking of great content, Birdcage is in the house. Don't forget RC Thielman. Yeah, oh no, brother. You know, now I know I can go name for name with you now. I was just trying to cut the list off a little bit. Make sure y'all check out the Bird Game. They had a Bird Cage. I'm sorry. They had a great show yesterday with Miles Garrett from WAGA Fox 5 here in Atlanta. That was some good listening yesterday. Make sure y'all check that out and support those guys on YouTube. Wallace is in the house. What's going on, sir? Good to see you in the house. Eric, hadn't seen you in a minute, brother. What's going on? Ray is here in the house. Oh, man. I got everybody joining me on the Friday brunch. Good to see y'all in here. Lisa says, we've talked about the different types of fans. I think most fans just want the team to win. Others are overly optimistic, while others are perpetually pessimistic. The latter enjoys trolling, it seems. Well, you know, it's interesting you say that. There is a percentage, but what I find in those people who troll, I've noticed that those are repeat offenders. In other words, you see the same, I say 5 to 10 people that you know you're going to get the negativity. You know you're going to get the, yeah, sure, they're going to do it. Sure, we're going to be good. Sure, we're going to. And the problem is, Lisa, those are the folks that give people like me a bad name. Because while in my critique, you're never going to hear me say, yeah, Falcons ain't going to be about nothing this year. And I dare anybody to tell me that they've heard me say that, because you haven't. You've heard me say, run through the wall for this team. I'm not sure about the quarterback position, but I think we're still going to make the playoffs. I'm not that sure if we should have gotten Bijan with the number 8 pick overall, but I still think we're going to have a good running game. See, the trolling people, they're doing that in my term today to live rent-free and overly joy everything Falcon. We can't go wrong. No mistakes can happen. All of that. That's who they're trying to get. But those people give fans like myself a bad name, because I really do feel like there is room in the middle for us to be that over-the-top fan. I don't go to New Orleans to go root for the New Orleans Saints. I don't go to New Orleans to sit there and say, yeah, this Falcon team, they just as sorry as they can be. That would be foolish, idiotic, dumb, and any other kind of adjective you can think of. That would be absolutely asinine for me to go in these places and turn on my team. I'm not that guy, but I do know those people that you're talking about. But they do. You're right. They are professional trollers. Wallace says, I think it's okay to be optimistic, but let's not go overboard and try to be realistic. And I think, Wallace, because I think you kind of are closer in that category with me, of the seasoned fan. And there's nothing wrong with young fans. I don't care if you just started liking the Falcons last year. That doesn't mean you're less of a fan than I am. But that means I think what Wallace is saying has a little bit of truth to it. I don't prescribe to the you have to think that Ritter is a top 10 quarterback in order to qualify you for your fan pass. I don't go for the just because a player of ours didn't make a top 10 list that we have to stop watching that news organization. Those are all opinions, which is what I'm doing and which most of you are doing. So it's really a slippery slope, but that could be a mission statement. What Wallace just said, that probably could be my mission statement. David says, how can you be a fake fan of a franchise that has the third worst winning percentage in the NFL with no Super Bowl trophies to boot? And I'm going to tell you, there are some people that'll look at this statement and will try to tell other people, well, David's not a fan. He's just accentuating the negatives. No, he's accentuating the truth. And I have to just say, we also associate pessimistic thinking for absolute negative thinking. That's not true. Pessimistic thinking is, I don't know. But that's not negative. For those of you who like to drink the 100% positive juice every day, and you have to say positive things to yourself every day for your therapeutic methods or your therapeutic routine every day, more power to you. God bless you, and do your thing. Everybody doesn't live like that. Everybody doesn't need therapy. Everybody doesn't have things going on where you have to tell yourself. What was the little thing on Saturday Night Live? The guy, for the older folks, Stuart Smiley, he used to look in the mirror. I'm good. I like myself. And I'm going to have a great day. He used to have Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, and all those folks come on the show and everything. And they would do those positive affirmations for themselves. And that's fine. If that's what you need to do to get through the day, more power to you. But guess what? We're all not built like that. So please, in your critiques of how people are supposed to act, remember, yeah, we're all kind of different. Some people have to curse 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in one sentence just to get your attention. Some people don't have to rock like that. But that doesn't mean that makes me a better fan than you or you a better fan than me. We just have 2 different ways to communicate. And that's fine. I've lived long enough to realize that's fine to have differences. As long as the goal for everybody is this team to win. If you're on the same goal I am, yeah, it's all good. Jeremy, what's going on? Jeremy Cox in the house in Atlanta Bird Gang says, swear to God, if Trey Lance isn't traded to Atlanta this week, I will say that's fine and continue living my life. I mean, you know, Jeremy, it's folks like that, man. It's folks like that. And will try to beat you down if you disagree with their overly positive. It's almost, you know, I don't want to stereotype. I'm just saying, but it's almost a little scary. It's almost like, we like the Falcons. We must like them. Ritter must be an all-pro in all Falcons fans' minds. Arthur Smith must be coach of the year in everything he says. Terry Fontenot is the best GM ever in the history of the world. Folks, I'm sorry, doesn't work that way. If you want that, y'all might as well replace everybody with AI and let them be the fans. It's crazy. False start in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. David says we have to get to a place where we stop accepting anything. I'm not the fan to accept mediocrity, and I'm not saying anything all rah rah. I will not accept the inferior product without my feelings being known, and I will still be here. And I'm telling you, David has been here. At least he's been here with me for the last 5, 6 seasons. So I know he stands on that, and that's absolutely true. You can't be overly critical of people who have reservations. I mean, if you sit there and worry about why doesn't this fan have as much passion as me, well, maybe you need to calm yourself down a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. Relax, calm down. Y'all make sure y'all like the video if you get a chance to. Those of you joining us for the first time, please come on in. If you haven't been part of the channel, please push the subscribe button. We're going to get some things started coming up this season. I'm sure I'm going to talk to my brother Tidy in Atlanta Bird Gang. I'm going to try my best to start doing most of my content in YouTube. I'm still going to do some lives inside Atlanta Bird Gang, but I'm going to try my best to kind of steer it going towards there because you get a little bit more freedom with some things in YouTube than you do on Facebook. But Atlanta Bird Gang, I'm not going to leave you. Still going to have some content floating through here, but we'll talk about that at another time. Bags, what's going on? Said most definitely doesn't make sense. Plus, I think Smith and Terry have full faith in Ritter right now. So let's just let the chips fall into place. I don't even know. Again, and I was combating what John was saying earlier when he was like, "Yeah, but I want better." I guess my only thing is if I'm gonna sit here with you all with a straight face and say I'm not 100% convinced Ritter is the guy, how can I sit back, turn around and say I'm convinced that Trey Lance would be the guy if he came here? There should be more question marks about him, though last year he was hurt. So you gotta give him that little asterisk. But the year prior, he didn't give a lot for me to think he was going to be that guy. So I don't know. And I just find it kind of hard to believe that they would be trying to move away from him that quick anyway. This is year 3. They're not paying him a ton of money. I would think they would wait. I don't think there's a team that desperate unless a starter goes down in preseason or something like that, or in training camp, where you would see them make that type of move. And I just don't see us doing that right now. David said it's July. No one has anything better to do. In my 2 cents, the 49ers did us a favor by drafting him. He hasn't played significant football in 5 years and has been injured. But in my opinion, doesn't mean I paid any attention to this rumor. And I'll tell you what, David is probably right. They did do us a favor because I'm going to tell you, I've always been on the Justin Fields train for here. I'm not telling you Justin Fields is the next Tom Brady. I was telling you I thought it would have been great for him to come home and be here, to be a fire starter here for the Falcons. I know it's gone, but I'm saying that was my thought. I thought it would be great for him to be here. Trey Lance was probably going to be number 2 on that list. So I'm kind of glad that did not come to fruition, but he said something at the very beginning too. It's July. I think the closer we're getting towards training camp and towards preseason, I think this fan base is so antsy. And I kind of like it because I do think this year is going to be special. I am staying on the position that I think this defense is going to be the part that shock people. I don't even think it's going to be the offense. I think the defense of the Falcons this year, that's what's going to get us into the playoffs. That's what's going to win us the NFC South. I think this defense is going to be some different stuff, y'all. Lisa says, right, the timing of this rumor is what throws the validity off for me. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Um, Facebook user says exactly my thoughts. Also, Daniel, what's going on, man? Daniel in the house said Fiji water is the best. It is the best. It's the most expensive, too. But I saw it at Sam's. They had it in the big case. So I did get it, but I do like my Fiji water. Lisa says Miles has been making the rounds. It's cool. He is showing so many so many content creators some love. Absolutely. I've seen him on like 4 or 5 different platforms. So that's some awesome stuff. Daniel says it's the kind of energy we had before the 2016 campaign when we added Sanu and etc. I can see a similar season to what Dallas had when they first added Zeke and he carried them to, I think, 11 wins. And it's kind of interesting that you say that, Daniel. I do agree with the similarities. And if you really think about it, aside of Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan is a full veteran by the end, that Dallas analogy is kind of close. You think about what Dallas did the year before. Their offensive line was just kind of coming in to their own. They got a bell cow running back in Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick coming out of Mississippi State. And you just and he got the job by default because Romo got hurt. It's not like he beat out Romo, but he took the ball, took the baton, and ran with it and did what he was supposed to do. So yeah, that's actually a good little analogy. I think that could be it too. Facebook user said Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, Caden Ellis, David Onyemata, and Jesse Bates. Who do you feel is going to really stand out? Oh, I'm loving the Jesse Bates move. I think it's been so long. We haven't had a real safety, and all due respect to Ricardo Allen, who was a leader back there in the back. But I see Jesse Bates as probably being the most talented safety we've had back there since probably William Moore. And I think if William Moore didn't have the injury-riddled career that he had, he would be looked at one of the greater safeties that have run through the Falcons. But I'm really excited about what Jesse Bates and all the names you have on there, including Old Man River, Calais Campbell. I think they're all going to play a part. Not only play a part on the field individually, but play a part for those young guys who have been blindly kind of on the field. And when I say blindly, no leaders to go on. They had to learn on their own. So to have veteran presence, all those guys you just named on that field, I think that's going to pay dividends for players like Troy Anderson, for players like Ebiketie, for players like Malone, D'Angelo Malone. That's what I think. That's where it's going to pay off. Lisa says, beyond the timing, it doesn't make sense because San Fran is going to want significant draft capital too. Also, what would be the cost for Lance? I'm not sure it would make sense fiscally. And it's so funny you say that because I had it yesterday when y'all were, when I forgot whose show it was that we were looking at. And I was going to look at Trey Lance is trying to pull it up, y'all. I'm sorry. Pull it up right quick. See if I can. San Francisco, Trey Lance. All right, here we go. Trey Lance. Start singing, doing dun 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 dun. Okay, so let's go to the share screen here so I can get on this. Okay, so, and then I will pull this down and I will put this up because people like me can't see big time. So let's pull it up here. There we go. And I don't know if y'all can still see that or not. I'm going to put it up just a little bit more. 1, 2. There we go. That might be a little better. All right. So, and I'm sorry about the little ad here. Okay. So let's look at Trey Lance's breakdown for the next couple of years. So 2023, his base salary is 940,000. That's not the big issue here. If you were to trade Trey Lance, I am pretty sure that the Falcons do not want to pick up that $2.8 million roster bonus. So you'll basically be paying 2 quarterbacks more money, 2 of your backup quarterbacks more money than you're paying your starting quarterback in Ritter. And also, there's no guarantee that San Francisco will eat that signing bonus. You're still going to have to account for this right here, this $5 million in 2023, $5 million in 2024. And then you got the roster bonus on top of both of those. Now, I think the signing bonus, the San Francisco is on the hook for that. I think they have to take care of this part. But these two numbers right here, the 2.8 and the 4.2, that would be on the Falcons. So I'm not sure from a financial standpoint, it makes sense to pay 2 quarterbacks more than what they're paying my starter. And that's just my opinion. But I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. So that's a little bit of breakdown there. Winston says, I'd make the trade for Lance, open up the competition, and let the best man win. Plus, with the new rule, we can carry 3 quarterbacks, and the third doesn't count against the 53-man roster. And I respectfully disagree with you because I say, think about when you're making this decision, Winston. They have already probably installed some things in the offense. You're bringing Trey Lance in unfairly if you're going to play the let's do competition. I think that ship has sailed. If they were going to do competition, you wouldn't see them saying, Ritter is the guy, Ritter is the guy, Ritter is the guy. So in theory, I understand what you're saying. Bring people in to better the team, to better the talent. But what sense does it make to do that 2 weeks prior to training camp? I just don't think that makes sense. And I agree that on paper, it looked like Lance was probably more talented than Desmond Ritter. But at this point, man, on July 14th, when training camp starts 2 weeks from now, you can't do that. Lisa says, have you decided when you're going to training camp? I saw 2 dates that are going to be going on when my daughter is in school in August, when she starts this fall, which might give me a little bit of flexibility. Unfortunately, I think the July dates might not work because I have to come all the way home with her. If I were to take her all the way home, come back, which would be a definite yo-yo trip. But I am thinking about those August dates. And I think it was 2, if I'm not mistaken. Did I see 5th and 6th? I forgot what those 2 days were. But that's where I am right now at this second, Lisa. Facebook user says, I am a great Falcon fan. I deserve good things. I am entitled to my share of happiness. I refuse to beat myself up. I am an attractive person. I am fun to be with. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me. So obviously there is a fan of Stuart Smalley in the group. That might have been one of the, and it was funnier when he used to bring the celebrities in there and do it with them. It's a classic one he did with Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley. So if you get a chance to go look at some old Saturday Night Live clips for kids, that was back in the 80s, I believe it was. 80s, well, it might have been the early 90s that was going on, but that was kind of funny. Daniel says Dak was unproven, then Zeke carried the team. Oh, Zeke doesn't get enough credit. And I'll say this, y'all. That was going to be a dogfight if Green Bay doesn't win that game at Dallas. If Green Bay doesn't beat Dallas and change the trajectory of what the NFC was in 16, because when Green Bay beat Dallas, obviously that gave us that extra home game. But that was going to be tough sledding against Dallas. Even though I think we still would have won, but we wouldn't have done. I don't think we would have done to them what we did to Green Bay. I think that was going to be a tougher task, and we would have had to do it in Jerry World. Lisa says Willie Moe. I missed the D block. Yeah, Willie Moe was. I think back at that defense we had in 2012, and I know a lot of us criticized those guys. Of course, that became the beginning of the blown leads. Everybody talks about 2017 as if the Super Bowl and the Seattle game, the Super Bowl and obviously the Seattle and San Francisco game in 12. Those were some leaky games for our defense, but Willie Moe was really important in that. Ghost Peppers in the house says, question, why would the 49ers send their 2021, 2022, and 2023 first round picks, as well as a 2022 third round pick to the Dolphins to not have confidence in Lance? And Ghost, it's a fair question. And even with the emergence of Brock Purdy on the team, I don't see why you wouldn't, just in case we find out Purdy was smoking mirrors, which I don't think he is. I think he actually showed he's legit. But just in case if he's smoking mirrors, I'll still have this guy that I thought was capable of running my offense. I wouldn't be ready to get rid of that real quick. Slim Dollar, what's going on, man? I saw you for the first time hanging with the fellas yesterday. Good stuff you had on there in the late night hours. This may be a rumor, but it's unrealistic to think Terry Fontenot is not pulling fillers out there and making calls about players. The problem is Falcon fans think even inquiries mean it's a done deal. Well, I think I agree with you. I don't think Terry's phone is ever going to stop ringing, or he's never going to stop picking up the phone. I don't think this roster is 100% done. Everybody keeps talking about these wide receivers and we don't have whatever. People remember, we still have preseason to go. There's still going to be cuts made after the third preseason games. So it might be a good reason to have that little money dangling out there. I don't know. Is D-Hop going to make a decision I don't know. I still think he's going to go to either Kansas City or somebody like that. But who knows who's going to get cut this year? There's probably a team that has a little overage of wide receivers, so you might make that move. But yeah, I just think the Falcons we are a very triggered fan base. And because you're not that team, because you're not Kansas City, because you're not Philadelphia, because you're not Buffalo, and even if they have success or not, because you're not Dallas, you tend to, when you hear the rumor, even as outlandish as it sounds, we want to grab it because that would get an opportunity for us to be relevant. For fans, relevancy to me is more important when you're winning. I love putting my chest out in 2016 and 17, bragging about beating the Saints 3 out of 4 times those 2 years. Loved it. Nothing better than it. But until you start putting these wins together, I can understand how people would say, oh, maybe we got a chance at this. Give it a shot. Scott Time said the historian on Birdcage cleared that up with Myles Garrett, who confirmed that last night that Ritter is the guy. Well, I mean, I don't think, all due respect, I don't think we really needed Myles Garrett to kind of clear that up. I think 90% of Falcon fans knew that was bogus. I think the other 10% are in that category of, oh no, that fan. And we have a lot of those in the fan base too, which is fine. But I don't think that was exactly breaking news that was not going to happen. Not to say it was great that Myles Garrett didn't put that out, but yeah, I don't think we needed him for that. Winston says San Fran would take on some of his salary if they are actually willing to move on from. Yes, some though. They're not going to take. They're not going to take all of it. I mean, matter of fact, the Falcons obviously would have to take the base salary, but $6 million. I don't know. We'll see. Skytime says, tell them to check out Burger King. Yeah, you didn't hear me earlier, Skytime. I told them that before you got in here, my brother. Say Dexter says, saying we offered a second. I don't believe that. When he played, he didn't look good. They were just talking about the other day how Smith said Ritter looked for where to go with Hall. They were just waiting. Well, Dexter, and the guy who actually did that, he changed the tweet. He took off the part about the second round pick and just said there was interest. So I found that interesting that he edited that. Probably didn't want to get in trouble. Skytime says Myles Garrett also said the Lamar Jackson rumor wasn't true, that the Atlanta the Lamar Jackson rumor wasn't true, that Atlanta was going to get him too. Again, another one that I don't think, listen, that goes in the category of, I think, fans hoping more than reporters scooping, saying that he's not going to come here. I'm sure Miles was on the same page as Adam Schefter or what's my guy name from NFL, Rappaport and things like that. And as great as Miles is, again, I don't think it took a genius to figure out that wasn't going to happen. Eric says Desmond has more experience in the league than Trey Lance. How many games did Trey play before he got hurt? 2. Ritter has him beat on that spell. Was it 2? Yeah, I guess it was 2. Yeah, the end of 2021. Yeah, but again, no. Let's talk about those 4 games that Ritter played in, y'all. It took. See, these are the things that I want people to realize when we start calling ourselves comparing. While you're right, Trey Lance didn't look great in those games. I want people to realize, aside of he did have some good completions, he had a couple of interceptions in the Baltimore game that people just didn't catch. So let's not try to act like it was a clean sheet with Desmond. It wasn't a clean sheet, because a clean sheet would probably have the wins with it. It had the last 2 wins. And again, I tell everybody, Tampa Bay put a big asterisk on there. They took their team out in the second quarter. We didn't get the lead till third quarter. Let's not pretend like we were dominating that game. They took their whole team out, except for the second and third string. They didn't need that game. Let's not pretend like, if you're going to play the game of let's compare. He was playing second stringers and third stringers in that last game. And I'm happy he got the experience, because he's going to need it going into this season. But I just can't sit here and try to pretend like, now, if you told me he played a playoff needing Giants, a playoff needing, like a team that was trying to get into the playoffs, then I would kind of come with you. Our schedule was New Orleans, Ravens, Arizona, and Tampa. When we played New Orleans, neither team had anything to play for except pride. When we played the Ravens, we couldn't score a touchdown. When we played Arizona, they had a third string quarterback that almost beat us at our place. And in the Tampa Bay game, again, it's facts. They took their team out in the second quarter because it was a game they didn't need. So I just want everybody to just let's give the whole story. Let's not give the half stories. Wallace says, I wouldn't trade for Lance this close to training camp because it doesn't make sense now that we have Heineke and they stated that Ritter would be the starter. That's when I first saw the story, Wallace, your statement is exactly what I thought. It makes zero sense to bring him in now. Zero. Facebook user says Ritter has beat him, and I'm sure they mean Lance, on a collegiate experience also. 4 years to 1. Well, yeah, we say that, but people believed in the 1 year way more than they believed in Ritter's 4. So if anything, that might be telling. You got 1 year that a guy has barely played a year, and they think he was worthy enough to get the number 3 pick for a team to trade up for him, and a good team to trade up for him. So I don't know. David says, I'm hopeful that this defense makes a significant improvement. I think they will, but in the back of my mind, I can't help but to think about the 2012 Eagles and Vince Young saying dream team. That season for them was lackluster, to be kind, and got Andy Reid fired. Well, the good thing is there won't be any dream team comments made about this team. That's for sure. We got to, yeah. I would hope all fans, no matter how positive or pessimistic that you are, would be trying to label that. Even though I've had some people tell me this is the most, I've literally heard folks take time to keystroke characters and say that this is the most talented team we've had. Period. Which I say to myself, how many 14-year-olds were out there typing, because some of them probably haven't been around that long to make that statement. Facebook user says, I wish we could have gone through Dallas on the way to the Super Bowl. Would have given us something to tick them off on. That's true. That's true. We owe Dallas, man. We still owe Dallas. They kind of had our number the last couple of times. Facebook user say, hey, what's up, Uncle Steve? I haven't been able to chime in with you. Been OTR coast to coast, and I need the latest updates. Well, the latest update is training camp starts soon. There was a rumor about, as you probably listened by now, rumor about Trey Lance coming in from a source that I don't call reliable, just somebody throwing stuff against the wall. So, hey. Kiki says, I think the wide receiver room is okay because we still have Pitts, Bijan, CP, and Jonnu, and that's a very good point, Kiki. I think people, and I know you guys were talking about that, you and Jack were talking about Jonnu. I think that's the sneaky wild card in this thing. Even if people are going to call themselves paying attention to Pitts, go back and look at what Jonnu Smith was doing. Yeah, he is not. He's going to probably remind a lot of people not that Hayden's blocking was to be desired, but he's going to be an option, kind of like Hayden came in here his year. Don't sleep on him getting maybe 5 touchdowns this year. Wallace says, this is why we can't jump on these rumors and run with them if we haven't heard it come from our organization, which they don't leak out information. They don't leak out no information on play. Oh, yeah. Well, the organization's not going to do it anyway. But that little tier between, if I don't hear from Myles Garrett, if I don't hear from Zach Klein, if I don't hear from Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport or anything like that, most of the time, I'm really not going to pay that much attention to it. So, I think those are people that want People did, and we buy in. So I can dog the guy all day, but I don't know how many views that text has gotten. But I bet you it has a whole lot. So he threw something against the wall, and look, we're talking about it. I've seen just about every content creator come on and talk about it in the last 2 days. So bravo for him making it work. Tajik in the house, what's going on, man? Say, hey, are you going to watch the WNBA All-Star game tomorrow? We got 3 people playing for the Dream. I mean, I saw, I know Cheyenne Parker, is it Alicia Gray is playing? And I'm trying to think who the third person is. Dream have won 6 in a row, man. Dream messed around and moved all the way up to the 5th position in the WNBA. So, yeah, it might be something to pay attention to. Still want to see them finish down the stretch. I don't think they're in the league with the Aces and the Connecticut Sun, but I do think the Dream can make the playoffs and be a force to be reckoned with. I like Howard, man. I think she has the most 3-pointers going into this All-Star break for the WNBA. Just much luck for them, man. RC Plane Builder in the house. What's going on, man? Said, don't believe them rumors. Lance ain't a need for us. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, you know you're talking to the wrong person. I'm not believing it. I'm just talking about it. Say, got to ride with Ritter. Said, maybe sign Maddie and Julio once we're in the Super Bowl. So let's see if they get the ring they deserve. Listen, I do believe that it's kind of good. I've been hearing a lot of the talk. I know last week, I don't know what brought it up, the Julio and Matt Ryan chances for Hall of Fame and all that good stuff and whatever. All I know is those guys gave me some good years to watch some, especially between 08 and 17. And I realized we had a couple of down years in 13 and 14. But for the most part, that was a magical duo from 08 to 17. Appreciate what they've done. But yeah, I'm not willing to sign anybody back. And plus, you got to remember, especially if you're Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is, you know why Matt Ryan is not saying he's retired? Because Matt Ryan still have a check to pick up from Indianapolis. And as long as he stays an unrestricted free agent, he's going to get that money. So Matt Ryan is playing it smart. Julio, I think Julio still, as you saw last year, he came up with a couple of good catches. I just don't think he's going to be that guy. I'd be surprised if he plays again this year, unless you find somebody maybe at the end, maybe a Kansas City, that might reach out and try to get him at the last second. I don't know. Winston says Ritter scored 2 touchdowns in 1 game against backups. That's not a slight. That's not a I hate Ritter. Far from it. It's very factual. It's extremely factual. Against the backups. He did. Eric says, no, I understand about Desmond not being really great in those 4 games. I'm just saying that he had more time on the field. Oh, yeah. I was giving you an analogy. I wasn't jumping on you. I was just saying, and you're not the only one to bring that up. I'm just trying to be fair with the comparison, because I think the comparison is always left a little empty sometimes. We kind of leave the part out about the situation, and especially the Cardinal game. I'm trying to tell y'all, we were a step away from losing that Cardinal game. It's not like we blew them guys out. We had to come back to take the lead. We were about to lose to a horrible Arizona team at that time. I think the only reason people showed up because J.J. Watt was playing. And he had announced his retirement right before that. Winston says Lance has 5 career touchdowns and played more games than Ritter. Facebook user says, if we're going to mention the almost interception, then we must mention the drops from the wide receivers that he would have had. Neither happened, so why mention them? Okay. I think I hear what you're saying. You're kind of saying, yeah, don't give me the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I'm gonna tell you the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and let's not pretend. Fact, we were playing bottom feeder teams. None of the teams that we played, except for Tampa Bay, who was a losing team. So you can say we played 4 losing teams. We beat one really bad team in Arizona, barely, with their third string quarterback. And we played a Tampa Bay team that took their team, was sitting there watching, took their team mid-drive off the field and let was it Blaine Gabbert came in and threw a touchdown? That's just factual, man. So if you're gonna, I'm mentioning it because it's factual. That's why I understand everybody wanted to take Ridder in their arms and yeah, we got you, Desmond. Of course. Yeah, you played real good those last 4 games. Yeah, Brady came out the field. He scored 2 touchdowns. Yeah. We gotta stop that. This is reality. This is real. Stop with the kid glove stuff. If people act like if you criticize somebody, you're not liking them. I like the kid. I really do like him. But I'm not ready to brand him the next coming. We got to stop that. Let him win some games. Let him win some games. Then I'll be more than happy to go back and say, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. And it won't be the first time I was wrong. But it's like some of y'all are just triggered by this dude, man. I like, did Ridder give out money? Just trying to figure out what the deal was. David says 13 quarters to throw his first TD pass. I don't have the right to question giving him, but I don't have the right to question giving him the keys to the car. Plain and simple, y'all. That's not wrong. It's not wrong. That doesn't mean that he could, and you know what that doesn't mean, more importantly? Doesn't mean he couldn't have learned from all that. Doesn't mean he could have took this offseason, went to Philadelphia and ran next to Rocky and went through the streets and worked out and they saying that none of that could happen. And he comes out being sweat. Y'all remember how Rocky was in Rocky 3 at the beginning when Clubber Lang beat him down in the first one, and then him and Apollo went out there and they hit the streets, and he went to the brothers' gym and got all hard and all of that. And he came in, cut, and wore him down. I hope that's what happens with Desmond Ridder. Desmond Rocky. I hope that's what happens. I don't fly now. I hope that happens. Especially for some of y'all. Atlanta Bird Gang in the house, man. Brother Tidy's in here. As I told y'all earlier before, make sure y'all subscribe to my brother. He said the reality is Ridder hasn't beaten a starting NFL quarterback yet. Ooh. I don't think people want to hear that. But Tom Brady started the game. And I know technically that's what they're going to say, but Tidy's right. When he left the game, they weren't losing. They put, folks, again, even if you don't have to go back on replay, I was there. They weren't losing. Tom Brady came out the game, then it all fell apart for them. I think they scored one more touchdown, maybe. Come on, y'all. Help me out. Raymond, what's going on, man? He said, what we talking about? We got 2 different topics going on. You'll see them scrolling across the bottom. We're talking about the trade rumors and how they affect fans and why we talk about them. And then why is there a difference between, which seems to be, and in my opinion, unofficially, seems to be a lot more fans that are seasoned and been around for a while. Why are we not used to overhyping individual players as they do now? And you know what? And I think it's, again, I blame a little bit of it on social media. I think it's marketing too. You get a player on and you put them on a commercial and all of a sudden they become the favorites. They become the, the go-to guy and everybody rallies behind them. And then they start making you think he was better than he had. Perfect example. Perfect example. About 4 years ago, dude from Oklahoma was drafted #1 overall. Got on the team that had lost like 20 games in a row. They won 2 games. The next year, he won a couple of games, got to the playoffs, and they plastered him on every single commercial you could find the year after. And he's never been the same. Teammates, whispers of teammates talking to this saying, I don't know if he's the real deal. But because the hype machine had you take him in your arms, okay, Baker Mayfield, come on, Baker. Oh, we're going to put you on insurance commercials and McDonald's commercials, and we're going to do all of that, and you're going to be the best. It doesn't matter that you couldn't beat UGA. It doesn't matter. But that's what we're going to do. We got to stop that babyish mentality with that stuff. Ghost Pepper says, let's just say the Falcons traded their 2024 #1 pick to the 49ers for Lance. What would be the point of the competition? When that move screams, the Falcons were bold and sure enough that Lance is the man. That's another thing. At this, if you knew before leaving not training camp, the OTAs, if you knew Desmond was not going to be the guy, y'all don't think Terry would have been on the phone talking about this stuff early? He probably would have been on the phone before the OTAs. That's why, again, I think it's just people that don't have anything else to do for the most part. Tucker said, Unc, I support you, but my issue with you is you use every opportunity. If we have a rumored quarterback target to ish on Ritter, where does this hate come from? He is the quarterback. Why is it so hard for you to accept that? I'm trying to figure out what point in everything that I've talked about. One, where I said I hate Ritter. Y'all again, the narrative goes to your mind. Unc isn't saying Ritter is the best. I don't like that. You better talk good about Ritter. Y'all gonna be mad at me this year then. Unless he goes out and wins 13 games, and I'm not him personally. I've as I told y'all before we started, I think the defense is gonna shock people. I don't even think it's gonna be about the offense. But Todrick, again, you keep talking about ishing on Ritter. What? How? Tell me the part where I'm crapping on the dude. I pointed out facts. I don't know what else you want me to do. I don't know. And I guess you're just gonna have to. You're just gonna have to believe me when I say I like the kid. I'm gonna root for the kid. Gonna be there yelling and screaming for him. But that doesn't mean I have to take him to bed at night and cover him up and protect him from all anti-Ritter people. That's not me. I didn't do it for Matt Ryan. I didn't do it for Julio Jones. I didn't do it for Steve Bartkowski. I didn't even do it for my favorite, William Andrews. But as long as you're wearing the brand these days, I'm going to go out for you. But yeah, you got to, if you're waiting for the video for me to come out and say reasons why Ritter is the best ever, yeah, you might be waiting for a while. Hal, what's going on? Hal said, what's good? I haven't been this excited for a season in ages. And I'll tell you what, rise up. You're right. I am more excited this season than I have been in a minute. And I'm anxious to get to that season opener against Carolina. Because I think that's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. Jimmy Wayne says, with with the guys we have to run the ball and decent enough skill guys, we'll be able to win. I believe that wholeheartedly too. Slim Dollar says, I think deep down Falcon fans love to hear these rumors because if it wasn't for the rumors, the mainstream media won't talk about the Falcons for nothing. The solution is to start winning games. You are so right, because that's the only way we become. Think about, if you think about it, as I'm thinking about my buddy Todrick up there, when the Falcons were rumored to be in the hunt for Lamar Jackson, woo, we got more press than anything else. Players, some coaches. Oh, yeah. Falcons would be a great fit. Falcons would be great. And that made us relevant. And I think that made fans, excited. And if I'm not worried about what the national media says. I'm really not. I'm worried about when I go into the bins and I see our fans and seeing is the product on the field gonna inspire my fans, my fellow fans inside the bins to root for that team. That's something I haven't seen in a long time. I'm not saying the fans don't root for the Falcons. I'm not saying the fans aren't excited for the Falcons, but we haven't ignited that fan base inside in over 5 years. We haven't had that atmosphere. University of Georgia, in the 3 or 4 years that they've been in there, just on those one couple of games, I know the Oregon, they probably had more fans. I bet you if you probably measure out how many Georgia fans went to those games, they'd probably be 3-1 for what the Falcons have been doing the last 3 years. And that's the truth. Don't believe me? Go back and look. Philip says, late, what I missed, bro. You missed a whole lot, man. I'll let you go rewind. Wallace is right. That what Ghost says. Remember when people thought John Harbaugh was BSing when he said there's a 200% chance Lamar's a Raven, but no, Lamar was going to be a Falcon. Oh, no, and listen. But again, he was saying that. Here's my only rebuttal to that. If he was so much going to be your guy, why hadn't he signed the year before? Matter of fact, he had 2 different years to sign with him. So, that isn't so much of and that goes to the I told you so-ish part. That's not even it. If Lamar was that down, I think he would have signed a little bit earlier. But I don't know. It could be me. Rusty says, if we can get 25 TDs, 10 interceptions, 3,500 yards from a third-round pick with about 400-yard rushing, that's a W in my opinion. Oh, very fair. I don't even think you have to have 3,500 if you got the guys doing what they're supposed to do in the backfield. That's what I think. Dex says, I watched the show the other day and say Smith was talking about Ritter and got everything under control to do where to go with the ball and the reads. They say they're just waiting on 7-on-7 and 11 contact. I think I saw that same snippet for that as well. And that's what we got to see. That's what we got to see, y'all. It's not being mad. It's that what we got to see. Jamal, what's going on, man? What's up? And they took the offensive starters out because they were scared Brady was going to hurt Brady. But their defensive starters were still in. And go back and watch that. They weren't in the whole game. They did stay in there longer than the offense. All their defense wasn't in there the whole game. A lot of them stayed in till the third quarter. But again, you're talking about an offense from Tampa Bay. When you take Brady out their offense, as Tampa Bay is going to realize this year, yeah, you're just a regular team. It's just a regular team. But no, they weren't in there the whole game. Those guys were not in there the whole game. Twan, what's going on, man? Say, have they released the training camp schedule? Yes, they have. Go on AtlantaFalcons.com. I don't want to give you a wrong date, but I know it starts right around the 27th, I believe, or something like that. But Let me see. And y'all forgot he threw a touchdown to CP, but CP dropped the ball when he hit the ground, and he threw another one, but one of the receivers dropped it, so he would have 4 touchdowns. Okay, then if you're going to put up what ifs on that, I'm going to put up what ifs with the interceptions. Again, we can play that game, but at the end of the day, it's still not like he came out. Okay, I'm going to put it this way. Somebody brought this up about Mahomes the other day, and I can't remember which stream it was. Patrick Mahomes in that season, the last one that Alex Smith was there, came in there in the last game and threw for 300 yards. Had an interception. I don't even think he threw any touchdowns. But the buzz behind him going into the next year was crazy because a lot of people said, oh, you can see it. Aside of us here in the metro area, I haven't seen one person from the outside look in and say, oh, did y'all see those 4 games he did? Yeah, he's going to be the man. Matter of fact, you had more people saying Falcons go get. Let's not forget. They had us connected to Derek Carr. They had us connected to Lamar Jackson. They had us trading for why is his name escaping me at the moment? I'm trying to think what the quarterback's name is, but I'm missing. But anyway, they had us in all kinds of rumors with other quarterbacks. So it's never been a soul coming into the free agent market. Oh, the Falcons are set. They got Ritter. That was never it. He also says, it's crazy how y'all praise Brady. I don't praise Brady. And Burrow and them for beating our backups on defense, but y'all complain about our rookie quarterback beating their starters and rotational people. Stop. You're reaching a little bit. You're reaching. That's not true. And you know the context is different. The context is very different. I understand what you mean. There were a couple of games that we did have some backups in there, but you're talking about in the middle of the season too. Let's not pretend that at the end of the season, teams that don't have a dog in the fight with the playoffs don't exactly put out their best product. And in the case of Tampa Bay, who had already clinched the division going into the Falcons game, let's not pretend that you're playing them at full speed. Come on, y'all. I mean, come on, Jamal. You better than that. You're better than that. I know you are. I applaud you for trying, but you're better than that. Raymond says, we're coming in with that new car smell. This team has much more potential than the last one. I agree. Was it Ritter's fault? Who he played against is hard, but I'm trusting the team. But that's, again, nobody's saying it's his fault. Who said it was his fault? And that's nothing that I said that said it was his fault. Who is it? Is it his fault we lost? No. I tell y'all what, this will stir even more. Matt Ryan would have won 3 of those 4 games. Matt Ryan would have won 3 of those 4 games. Last year's Matt Ryan. That's not a knock on Ritter. They put him in. You know why it's a knock on Ritter? It's a knock on Ritter because Arthur Smith didn't throw him in early. I think Desmond Ritter could have beat Chicago. I think Desmond Ritter could have beat Washington. I think Desmond Ritter could have beat Pittsburgh. Those 3 games that we played, as close as those games were, we could have beat every one of those teams with Ritter. But by the time they put him in there, everything was gone. That's my point. Yeah, everybody, yeah. See, now it's getting to the you're talking about Ritter again. I'll get you up. And Ritter is our guy. Y'all gotta stop. David says Steve Potter, baby rocking the water. Hey, man. Kiki says, just seen reports of Buccaneers safety is begging for Brady to come back. Yeah, you better. It sounds like Trask and Mayfield. Now, let me ask you, was that the genius, Kiki, that came out talking about they were going to the Super Bowl? Was the guy, was that Carlton Davis? He's a cornerback, though. He's not safety. He's a cornerback, right? That he came out talking about people going to sleep on them and all of this and all of that. Like, yeah, y'all stop. Y'all stop. David says, if Ritter wets the bed, I'm not going to criticize him. He's third round pick. I'm going after the guy. Head coach Arthur Smith, who put him in the number one spot. I agree. I'm skipping down to a couple of guys, hopefully that I haven't seen, just to get a couple of things. Says Jamal says, I watched the game like 6 times. I know the defense wasn't in the whole game, but they came out in the 4 quarters. We put our backups too. Yeah, Jamal. And again, I can appreciate what you're trying to do. And you know what's more admirable? I do like the fact that there are people that are 100% can't find a flaw in Ritter. I'm glad he has that back, and that's great. And I mean that, and I'm not saying facetiously. I honestly am glad that he has that type of backing. He does. Just to let you know, everybody doesn't love you, though. Everybody might not be in love with you. Just because we're not in love with you doesn't mean we don't like you. Everybody figures soon as they named him quarterback, I think they thought there was going to be this parade down Peachtree that he was named quarterback, when technically it was a 5K on Bankhead that only a few people showed up to that were celebrated like that. I just think, I just caution. I'm going to try my best. And the reason I love bringing up this subject, because it's very passionate and it brings out the passion in you guys. And I actually love that it does. I more importantly love that y'all at least talk to me, and we talk about it respectfully. We talk about it woman, man, and woman to man. And we can have these conversations without it being you're this, you're that, I hate you, you hate me. That's why I love doing this. That's why I love the chat we have. And I appreciate y'all supporting me. We'll follow it up if y'all want to on Sunday. We'll poke our heads in on Sunday evening and talk again about it. I'll put up the time again. But this is a great topic. Love the passion of everybody talking today. We're in for a good season, folks. Don't get me wrong. I've already put it on record. We're going to win the NFC South. I really don't have a doubt in that. I don't even care about anything else. So we're going to do it. That's just my thoughts. So anyway, we'll talk to y'all on Saturday. Got to get going. Appreciate y'all in the chat. Don't forget, on your way out, like the video for me so we can get this thing spread out in the YouTube universe. Until then, y'all take care. I'll catch y'all this weekend. Stay hydrated. Y'all be good. Peace.